Sessions have been good, right? Yeah. Hey, so shout out to Jeremy for having me here at the Video Marketing World, second year of the conference. Do we have any first timers? I'm just curious. See, and the conference is awesome, right? Well worth coming? Absolutely, absolutely. All right. Well, thank you all for being in my session. So who am I? My name's AJ Wood. Please don't confuse me with the DC United former soccer player. He's a lot younger than I am. Right? Also, don't confuse me with the English children's book author. He's much, much older than I am. So I'm a digital media authority, an instructor, and currently I work as an Adobe employee. So I conducted my first training class actually in 1978. Can anyone guess what that was on? Think about the technology back then. An abacus, really? I have one of those, and I actually know how to use it, just so you know, right? So yeah, my first training class was actually on a Betamax unit. How to set the clock, because it did this blinky thing for the young folks who maybe don't know what that is, right? It blinked midnight all the time. And then I also taught people how to actually set it so they could do the auto recording, right? Go out on the date night and leave all his kids home, and then actually get their shows recorded. Right? So I trained everybody in our neighborhood on how to do that, right? It was a Sony Betamax. So got my idea for training, got my love of training really early on. Been on the web since '96, built an external website using Microsoft Front Page, right? Business website with Microsoft Front Page in '96. I helped Ford Motor Company establish one of the first intranet sites for one of their manufacturing plants, also in that same time frame. Right? It was not in Front Page. So I've been blogging since '98. I have more than 1,000 plus tutorials out there on the web all over the place. And then here's the key stat for today, and as it pertains to our discussion. Okay, I am still a YouTube partner, but I have not published really any new content on my partner channel since probably 2012 when I hired on as an Adobe employee. So they said, hey, we love what you're doing on YouTube. Come over here. And I said, awesome, I'm glad to do that. And then they hired me and they said, don't do that anymore. Okay? Now, here's the reason that it's relevant, though. To see the two numbers, 34,000 subscribers. So as you would imagine, that number's pretty static in the 6 years I've been at Adobe, right? But I have close to 4 million views. That number is not static. And that pertains to our discussion today around how to create how-to content, because even though I'm not actively publishing to the channel, my viewership grows and ebbs and flows, but my views continue to grow. And with all the algorithm changes that happened within the last year, I am still getting my royalty payments, right? So I'm meeting that minimum threshold of views every month on essentially evergreen content, okay? So if you enjoy the session, if you're enjoying the conference, please use these hashtags. One you already know because I've been watching the stream on Twitter. If I happen to say anything that's of value to you, hey, please tag it with me, right? AJ Wood Quotes, that's always good. And then I'm happy to connect with you on all the social, but here's me on Instagram and on Twitter. Who here saw Roberto Blake's session yesterday? It was good, right? So he said in his session yesterday, and I'm paraphrasing him now, but he said, close your eyes for the first 100 videos, right? Just dig in and do it. So a lot of people have that fear. Everything has to be perfect. Audio has to be perfect. My studio has to be perfect. I have to have everything set up before I can start. No, you have a phone, and everybody today is a content creator. Everyone in this room is a content creator. The question and the reason you're in my session is you want to know how to create how-to content, right? Okay, let's get started. The first lesson is there are 3 basic types of how-to content. Does anyone want to guess what those 3 might be? 3 basic types of how-to content. And I know what you're thinking, it's just how to do something, right? Hey, the first 2 are, is it a step-by-step guide? Are they simply going to do what you do, repeat what they see, and then they're done, and they have accomplished a task? Here is how you unpack your camera. Here is how you set up your camera. Here is how you maintain your VCR. Okay, a one-time thing they just need to know. It's a step-by-step guide. They're not learning really any concepts, right? They're just following along, playing by the numbers, and then they're done. The second type of how-to video, though, is a teachable skill. So yes, you might be showing them steps and how to do a task, but you're also teaching them concepts along the way. Because when they leave, it won't necessarily be repeatable in the same way every time. There may be concepts that they need to understand. Hey, if you're a photographer, you need to understand the lighting, and you need to understand shutter speed, and you need to understand aperture. And I could give you a step-by-step guide specifically for a portrait. But that would not be the same step-by-step guide I would give you for a landscape image or for a nighttime photo. Right? Does everyone understand that? Does that make sense? So, is it something quick? I need to show you, hey, you just brought your brand new car, you have Sirius XM, let's get that radio connected. That's a great step-by-step guide. They're going to do that one time and then they're going to be happy. Your teachable moment might be, here's all the channels you have access to. Here's how to find your favorite radio station. Something that they're going to repeat, okay, and maybe show to somebody else. Anyone have a guess as to what the third type of how-to content is? I'll give you a hint. I didn't even actually really think about this until yesterday when I watched Luria's keynote. I know, who knew I would be standing on the stage, I'd be asking you guys the questions. It's kind of crazy, right? Right? The third kind of how-to content, Q&A. Now, I know what you're thinking, that's not really how-to content. But think about it for a minute. You have two ways to do Q&A. You can do it during a live stream. Hey, on Sunday, I'm going to be hanging out. I'm going to be doing some Photoshop stuff online. If you join me in my channel, I'm going to take some time for some questions. Now, I can do two things with those questions. I could take the questions ad hoc during the event. I see Frances is calling in from Baltimore, and she has a question about masking. What's your question, Frances? And then I answer it on the fly. And that's question and answer. But if it's how to, Frances has a question about masking. What's your question, Frances? Oh, you want to know what a layer mask is? Let me bring that up and show you. In Photoshop, you'll go over here to the layers panel and then see this icon right here. That activates the layer mask. What you need to know is that white reveals what you want to see in the layer and black conceals. Does that make sense, Frances? Engagement, interaction, she's feeling the love like Luria mentioned yesterday, and it's still a how-to. There's a downside to that, though. What do you think the downside would be to live, ad hoc Q&A? It's what? Yes. Everybody loves to play Stump the Chump. Right? So unless you're Ben Wilmore and you've been doing Photoshop since before it was called Photoshop, okay, maybe you don't want to do the live ad hoc Q&A. So I want to do it in my live stream. How do I incorporate that and not have Stump the Chump? Anyone have an idea? There you go. I'm going to be live on Sunday doing some Photoshop stuff and answering your questions. Go ahead and tweet them out to me, post them on my Facebook page, jump into my LinkedIn group, whatever your channel may be, collect those questions ahead of time. Now you're prepared. You do your same show, whatever it might be, and then you have your section. Now let's get to our Q&A. We got 20 minutes today. First question comes from John over in Houston. John, are you here today? There you are. Read his question. You've already prepared the answer because you looked it up ahead of time and you're ready to go. Okay? You can use the same format for your recordings. And for your recordings, same rules apply, right? Because you're going to take your live stream, you're going to post it at some point. Or if you're not currently doing live, you could still do how-to videos where you take advanced questions, right? So on YouTube, check out Friday. I'm posting my latest Q&A from Monday. Be sure to tune in, subscribe, and check it out. Every Friday, I'll be responding to your questions, right? So those are the 3 types of how-to content. Okay? Do you simply just need to set it and forget it? Easily repeatable, step-by-step guide? Do you want to teach them a new skill or concept? Or do you want to take the time and do some live or even recorded Q&A? So, step number 2 before you begin, research, research, research. Sure, whatever topic you picked, whatever you decided to show how to, there's probably already a video for that. So you need to know who your audience is. You need to know what kind of questions they are asking. What questions are they asking about your product or your service? What questions are they asking about your industry that you're in? Because maybe it isn't even your product, but it's something in your industry where your product might be able to help. Are there currently videos out on the topic that you're considering doing a how-to? What's good about that video? What's not so good about it? How could you do it differently and make it more engaging or helpful to your audience? I started recording Photoshop videos in 2010. Photoshop was not new. YouTube was not new. There were already well-established authors doing Photoshop. There were already well-established channels doing Photoshop. I could have picked something else, another Adobe product like, I don't know, InDesign or Illustrator, right, or even Flash. But I happened to choose Photoshop because it's what I happened to be teaching most of the time. And I felt that I could pick topics that were relevant to beginners or intermediates or advanced that hadn't been covered the way that I would cover them. Right? So do your research. Look at your topics. Think of a spin on a topic. You can even jump off of someone else's video. Hey, I was watching Fred and he did this great review of our tire and he noticed that it did XYZ. I wanted to show you the proper way to mount that tire and take it off your vehicle. Right? You get a mention, he might respond to it, you get conversation, you get more engagement. So you start doing your script. Keep your script simple. You are the subject matter expert, your audience is not. It's very easy as you're trying to deliver a how-to to gloss over things that you just don't even think about anymore. So how many here have a car and it has the push button? Okay. How many here have a car and you still put a key in it? Okay. If all you really knew was a push button car and you're going to do a how-to video and you forget the part about where they need to take the key out of their pocket and stick it in the ignition, that would be a key step, right? Now it doesn't totally line up because they got a different type of vehicle, that's another thing, right? But I have seen videos where a key step, take the key, put it in the ignition is left out because you assume everybody would know just to do that. So you have to think about the fact that yes, you're the expert, but I'm sure everybody in the room knows an expert in a particular topic, but can they explain it to you? And that's the point of the how-to video. Whether you're going to be the person writing the script and delivering the content, or you're the subject matter expert who writes the script and you have an actor deliver it, The audience, they don't know. That's why they searched you on YouTube or other channels. They need to know how to do that thing. So you have to break it down, all the little pieces. Keep it simple. One of the things I like to do in a lot of my videos, and I've done a little bit today, you tell somebody what they're going to see, or tell somebody what they're going to learn, maybe even highlight some of the steps. You show it to them, and then you tell them again what it is that they just learned. Right? The tell, show, tell. It is not a very common technique. Most people jump right into, hey, we're going to do this, and let me show you, and then we're out. No. Tell them first. And you're seeing lots of current creators, and I'll pick on Photoshop for a second, right? So I know a creator, Jesus Ramirez, runs the Photoshop training channel. And he has a great thing now where when he kicks off all his videos, he says, you are going to learn this thing. And in the background, while he's talking over the top, you see the technique that you're actually going to learn. So it does two things. If you're muted because you're on your phone and you're watching it on your device, visually it's very interesting. Because he doesn't speed composite it or make it go fast. He just superimposes really nice and like, oh, I want to know how to do this thing. And the title matches, so I'm probably interested. But he tells you ahead of time, this is what we're going to do. Then he breaks down the technique. And at the end, he says, here's what we've done today. Hope it worked out for you. And then he gives you the call to action. Right? All right, lesson number 4. Shorter is better. I think everyone knows that. Time is money. Your time is valuable. When I started doing my videos, I wanted to have a nice intro. So I got a nice After Effects intro, and as you can see, it was 18 seconds long. But it was cool. It even got played on NBC when I was interviewed several years ago, right? It was awesome. And then I would do a little verbal intro. Introduce myself, talk to you about how you're doing, talk about what we're going to do, and we're 35 seconds in. And it's almost a minute before I actually get to the tutorial. Now, this is one example. They're not all like this. Okay? But in today's currency of YouTube and time, or LinkedIn or Facebook or whatever your channel is, that's way too long. Right? Most people who are looking at the how-to, regardless of the type that they're interested in, they want to get right to the meat of the discussion. I need to do this and I want to get out. So when I talk about shorter is better, I mean the front end loading. The length of your video can vary. Some would argue that take your content, take your idea, whatever it is, your tutorial, your how-to, and break it down into 5 2-minute videos versus one long 10-minute series. Gives you more videos to promote, gives more places for people to jump in, right? Your mileage may vary on that, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. Okay, so I mentioned this before. You want to make your video timeless. You want to try and make evergreen content. Especially for a how-to. Now, you might be in a space where the technology doesn't change that much, right? There's not a whole lot going on with tires, right? So maybe whatever video you made 10 years ago is still relevant. Here's how you change a tire, right? But car technology changed. We went from the key ignition to a push start, so you'd have to have an updated video for that, right? But if you can make content that's timeless, it'll hold. Hey, regardless of the algorithm, you can see this is a screen capture of the top videos currently on my channel. And if you look, 7, 8 years ago. And I bring this up to go back to the very first slide where I introduced myself. It's been 6 years since I made a new video. And when I jumped off the channel to go work for Adobe and do videos for them, I only had 1.5 million views. Now, the creep on that is not super fast, right? But today, those videos are still playing Today, when I pull up the analytics, they're still showing up. They're still earning ad revenue, right? They're still relevant. Could I update them? Sure. And I probably should, because in the case of the fourth one about HDR, Photoshop has changed. It's different. How you would do HDR is different, right? But the first three are still relevant. The first three are still techniques that you would use. And in fact, recently, the third video around clipping mask jumped. Okay, I got a spike somewhere over in Asia, okay, 20,000 views over the course of a week, right? So if the content is solid, if the content is good, if it's evergreen, you can reuse it, you can reshare it, you can keep referencing it. Something else I did for my content that's not actually on the slides, but it's kind of a bonus for you. I went through and continued to update the keywords in the description. When we had annotations, I went through, and those really long intros that you saw, I put a skip intro button, and engagement jumped up, right? Because I made the button really huge. I didn't care if it covered the front, because nobody wanted to watch that, right? As soon as you got to the page, boom, skip intro. Yes, let me do that, okay? So just because you put something out there, don't set it and forget it. It's your channel. You want to continue to monitor it. You're looking at the analytics. You want to see how stuff is performing, see how you can keep it evergreen and fresh. Hey, lesson number 6, words are your friends. Captions. If you're specifically doing YouTube, captions will get you higher rankings than no captions. Yes, I know YouTube does auto captions, and if you speak really well and enunciate really well, then the auto captions might hit you up pretty good. You want to think about adding captions. You can go back after the fact and add captions. There's no reason. I have videos that are this long and they've been out there forever. Are they getting some sort of relevant hit clicks to them? Go back and add some captions to them. Why not? The other thing about captions, you are embedding your videos on your website, right? It's your video, it's your content. You want to make sure all roads lead back to your domain, right? It's awesome that we have these great social platforms, as long as they post our stuff. But you have copies of all your videos that you uploaded, and while it's more convenient to link or embed the YouTube or the Facebook video, those platforms go away, you'll still want to upload those to your site. The other reason you want to have it on your site, your caption becomes the blog post, which becomes searchable via Google, dragging back to your domain. So you wrote a really good script, added your captions, now you have content for your site and or your Facebook post or however you're putting it. If you're putting the content on your site, it doesn't have to be verbatim your caption. Maybe you have more relevant information. Okay, how many here were in here for Anthony Ambrose's LinkedIn video strategy, right? Okay, so he talked about how you do the post and how you put your description in your video post. And that description might have more information that pertains to the video. You can do the same thing with the blog post. You're embedding that YouTube video on your site? That's right, I listen, right? Smart people, I'm going to repeat what you said. I tweeted it out. Yeah, so in the back here, everybody turn around real quick. This is Anthony. He's a smart guy, and it's his birthday. Everybody say happy birthday. Thank you, Anthony. So yeah, so captions are good, right? Captions help with your SEO. Captions will help on your site. Words matter. And here's another reason to think about putting captions, aside from the fact that on your phone, maybe it's muted, right? Here's another reason why words matter. If you've been in any of the sessions, you know at some point they've posted lots of statistics about how people are consuming content. And yes, video is king. But I'm old. and older than a lot of folks in the room. And if I need to figure out how to do something, in many cases, depending on what it is, I prefer a written tutorial. Does anyone know why? Why would I prefer a written tutorial over video? Okay, don't have to rewind. What else?
You can do it at your own pace.
You can do it at your own pace, and my pace is fast. I don't have time to sit through 5 minutes of video while you explain something. If you have it in text, even if it's your script, I can speed read that. I can look at that page and know what it is, and I'm done. Now, it might not be as relevant a skill set. And if you talk to my wife who's in the back, you will know that I am on my kids to read and be fast readers and all that. I don't want that skill to go away. But the majority of the content that I consume that is how-to, generally, I want it to be read. When I want to capture news, especially sports statistics, I don't need necessarily to see a video about the sports scores or who's doing what. Just show it to me so I can read it. Give me the summary in words so I can look at it and be like, well, LeBron did pretty good. Awesome. Right? And it has nothing to do with the fluff. It has to do with the fact that I have to play the video at the speed that it's at. And in some cases, I play video really fast. But even then, when I'm playing it really fast, I can't understand it. Right? The captions go by faster, but that isn't helpful necessarily. Okay? That's why words still matter. Okay? Don't discount the words. Captions in your videos, yes, but think about it. Take your content, put it on your blog. There's the text. Remember, all roads lead back to you. You're doing great on social. You're kicking ass with your social media marketing, but eventually you want people to make it to your domain and know your stuff. Focus on the details. This here is live, all right? So when I started doing YouTube, I was doing all the scripts and all the shooting and all the editing. And when I started doing YouTube, I actually just set up the camera and I did everything in one take. So you'll see some of that, the stuttering and the mumbling, because it was all in one take. But a lot of my effects, video effects, were done in real time. So I planned out, okay, I'm going to highlight this area, that area, this area. I'm going to show the screen behind me, so I'm going to point this way and that way. And I had it all marked out. But it was to draw focus, visual focus, so that you know where we are going, regardless of the screen size you're looking at the video on. Hey, it's one thing for me to say it, but if you're new, if you're somebody who's never done this before, you don't know where the import stuff is. You don't know what options you have. You don't know where it's going. And I can say that, and I can say, look to your left, and look above, and look for the word that says iMac HD, and you're hunting and pecking for it. Draw attention to it. You can easily do this now, post-production, in software like Camtasia, or if you're only Mac, on ScreenFlow. I often had call-outs. This is where I want you to click. It's called this, but I made it show up so you could see it. Only put the relevant things on the screen. If you're familiar with Photoshop, there's tons more stuff you can do. Makes no difference in the video that I'm trying to show you. Put the relevant items on the screen. Draw attention to them so they know where you are. Guide them visually through your how-to. When you get going, you need to be consistent. I think that is a mantra that's been throughout the conference and all the things and all the sessions you've been in. You have to be consistent. Pick a schedule, stick to the schedule. Whether it's once a day, once a week, once a month. If you change the schedule, you need to let your viewers know you're changing the schedule and you have to roll it out. Be aware of how that's doing. But what you can't do is week to week change how many times you post. Yes. And let me repeat the question because the mic wasn't on. So the question was, I have a consistent Friday show. Am I going to interrupt the rhythm of that if I throw something out in the middle of the week? Okay? And so my response would be, if that show has a consistent theme, and you've got people tuning into that show, no, you wouldn't interrupt the rhythm if you throw something out at another time. Your regular viewers might look at it. People who are not subscribers might look at it and then jump into your channel and look at the other stuff, right? I started off, I believe, on a weekly schedule. Once a week I was posting content, and then someone here that I know was like, oh, you need to post more frequently. I'm like, okay, I have that time. And so I posted 3 times a week, right? And I would say, in hindsight, the only thing that I would change going forward if I did content is in my showrunner, I consistently called out the schedule, which was awesome if you jumped into my channel for the first time, like, oh, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It was great. But then once I fell off that schedule, people were like, what the heck, man? You say Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I saw this great video, and it's 2015, dude, right? So you have to be aware of that too, right? I would be less likely to call out the day. I might do now the call outs in a live stream, and then my recorded stuff is going to be really not time sensitive if I can keep that off, right? So I saw the hands before. So we're in Roberto Blake's session yesterday, good stuff. Again, one of the things that he said was you posted it, you've uploaded it, the first hour, the first 24 hours matter. So make it social, get out on all your other channels and let people know this video is up there. You're gonna have the most juice, most feedback, the most spark if you get on it within that first hour and those first 24 hours. I could have started with this. Hey, there's some people going, yes, you should have started with that. Whatever you do, the audio cannot suck. Right? It can't. Good audio trumps bad video. I was in another session, it might have been Anthony's, could have been Roberto's, where they mentioned, hey, and in fact, I think it might have been the keynote this morning. Right, the video that we had was kind of shaky cam, and it looked kind of funny, and it was grainy, but the content was really relevant, so people watched it. He didn't talk at all about the audio quality, but I'm assuming the audio quality was pretty good. If it had been kind of shaky and really didn't know its stuff and the quality was still kind of relevant, but the audio was really bad, nobody would come back. I have videos, as you know, that are still out there, still getting clicks, still getting links. And I have videos that have poor quality audio. And the majority of negative comments on those particular videos are all about the audio quality. I was going to subscribe, but the audio's so bad, right? I can hear you breathing, right? So yeah, invest in a good quality mic. Take the time to test that, make sure it's working. This, of course, you should know, you guys are marketers, right? Have to have some sort of call to action. Okay? My tell, show, tell. Tell them what they're going to learn. Show them that thing. At the end, summarize what they learned, and now ask them to do something. That's the best time to ask, because they're going to be excited. They just learned something. You are their new friend. So going to subscribe, so going to come back. I did not follow that advice early on in YouTube. And people were liking the videos, and the video views were going up. I'm like, why am I not getting more subscribers? And then I started just simply asking and putting the button. And as other folks have recommended, don't wait till the end of the video. In the middle, have your call to action. Hey, if you like what we're doing so far, I post videos every day. Subscribe and throw up a link or a card. I would tell you to use annotations, but those are gone and never worked on mobile. Right, so we use cards and end screens. So those links, of course, can be external now. That's good. I definitely want to add that. Again, I could assume you know this, but you're here to learn stuff, right? So you need to write a description. You should have your website URL in that description. You want to keep it short. You want to have the most relevant information up towards the top. Most people won't click the more button to read all the other stuff. Okay, unless you're doing like an unboxing video or some other type of content video and you're putting in the timeline notes, right? Here at 2:15 you can see this, and here at 3:15 you can see that. Or if you list out the set of products, here's the 5 products and all the links. Okay, add a bug to your videos, that's simply just an identifier. This, of course, helps a little bit with theft deterrent, but not really. I see a lot of authors now, they put their video of themselves somewhere on the screen, especially for software training videos. Hey, here's me doing the video, and I'm right there in the corner, and you're watching me do it and all that. And in the pirated versions of those videos, somebody else just puts a picture right there. Right? So this is kind of a deterrent, but not really. You could easily slap your logo over the top of mine. Yeah, so something to think about with your how-to video as you write your script and you do your thing. I mentioned in the previous slide, you want to visually lead the viewer along. That also means you don't want to have the dead space. So if you're doing a software video, it's very common to have roaming mouse, right? As you're talking in the background about whatever it is, you have to watch for that. Okay? The other thing is to have dead mouse for too long in the wrong spot. Okay? So what I would do with my videos is I didn't do the embedded image or embedded video of me over the top. What I would do is cutaways. So I would do something in the software and I was actually doing something and you were seeing something be done. And then if I had some exposition about a technique, I would cut to me. And then I would look at camera and say, this is how we do that and why. And then I would cut back in, right? Because personally, I didn't want to have you just staring at me looking at the monitor, right? And that was just my preference. So, but it worked. That type of engagement, as you mentioned, worked because I was talking to you and then we jumped to the technique and then I came back to you.
Did you say you did full screen at that point?
Mm-hmm.
Or down in the corner?
No, I did both, right? I did both. And I'll try and pull up some video if I have time, right? Yeah, if nothing was going on, I knew I wasn't going to move the mouse, it was full screen. If I was leading you through a technique, I might throw it in the corner and say, hey, look over there, right? So I did a lot of pre-visualization with, this is what the screen's going to look like. The icon is going to be behind me. It'll be right there, right? And I would point, right? You'd be like, how does he do that? Is it cutaway? No, it was all live. It like practice. Hey, we all know it's mobile first. Okay, every session you've been in, it said, hey, mobile. 2010, I was doing videos for YouTube. I was already thinking about mobile. I already had an iPhone. Hey, I knew that that's where we were going, so I thought about it. On my iPhone, on your device now, your Samsung, your Galaxy, whatever it might be, that's going to be hard to watch because Photoshop's really big. So all of my videos on my channel, as old as they are, the reason they still get relevant views is because every single video, I optimized it for the screen that you were on, which I assumed was mobile. So that's the one thing I did in post, was cut away the screen so that the menu was always legible. Oh, I can actually read that on my, that's pretty cool. It's why I visually led you through things with zooms and callouts, because I knew you were probably watching on a mobile device or maybe a tablet when they came out. You have to user test. You just made your how-to video, you should hand it to somebody who actually has never done the thing you want to teach them to do and see if they can do it. Then you know, oh, I assumed this step. Okay, I told you I did my first training in 1978. Okay, in the late 80s, early 90s, I wrote technical manuals and guides for Chrysler, okay, Ford, and Harley Davidson. And a lot of those user guides were printed. But I went through many rounds where I said, here's how you do something in Word, and here's how you do a sheet in Excel, and I would hand it to people and run a lab, and they would be like, we have no idea how to do this. I'm like, but I told you there, and this. And I would watch them go through the guide, and they would click places they weren't supposed to because I didn't specifically tell them where to go, right? So everything that you have done to this point, you want to know if it works. You have to have people test it. And if you're doing a show of how-to, if you're setting up a rhythm for your how-to, then you might not need to test every single one, right? Because you'll get down in your software or your hardware or whatever it is that is your discipline. Okay, these are the relevant things I need to remember to make sure we talk about. Because it'll be brand spanking new. You have to stay on top of that user experience because you don't want them to end up like this and be frustrated. Because then come the comments, right, and the Yelp reviews. I mentioned this already. You should be embedding your videos on your site. You already know all the reasons. Add the text. Get the SEO. Bring everything back to you. You're going to get people who don't enjoy your stuff, who disagree with what you posted, don't like the way you sound, don't like the way you think, whatever the case may be. Yesterday's sessions, I think it was the opening session, I think it was Tim Smoyer who said, hey, your tribe will defend you against that tribe. That's a good thing. Let them yell, let them scream, let them bear down. If you are relevant to your community, they won't care, and in fact, they'll come to your defense. And in fact, they might even be more engaged because like, no, you don't understand. I learned this, and I saved a week's worth of time. Roberto Blake. Hey, if you're out there, Roberto, see, I put it up on the screen. Your analytics will eliminate any assumptions. So I told you to use your test because that's before it goes into production, before you release it and give it out into the wild, right? But every single thing I showed you up until now, everything that we talked about up until now, you will validate and optimize with your analytics. How did I know that my intros were too damn long? I didn't guess. I didn't walk up to people in the street. Hey, you see my YouTube videos? I put them on every single screen here in the Apple Store. What do you think? No, I looked at the analytics and saw the drop-off, right? How did I figure out that, hey, a 10-minute video was too long and I could break it up into smaller 2-minute segments? I looked at where the drop-off was. I looked at where the jump-in was. Okay? So your analytics help. There is so much data that you can look at. Hey, the final lesson here is you can't do it all, right? You could do it all like I did, but you won't be able to do it for long. Hey, scalability requires a team. So leverage your strengths, outsource your weaknesses. Hey, that's mine. It'll be on a t-shirt one day. Right? So leverage your strengths, outsource your weaknesses. Hey, the one thing that's really different for me today as a creator, I still do videos, but of course I'm doing them as an Adobe employee. Okay, and the first time that I actually flew out to Lehigh, Utah, to an Adobe office to go do a set of videos, it was the first time really in a number of years where I was simply the talent. Right? I had to still write the script, right? Still had to do the on-camera voice and do some things, but somebody else was editing, somebody else was cutting it down and doing all that. And I was like, this is sweet. I'd still be doing videos right now if it was like this easy. Right? So you want to kind of think about that ahead of time. I know you're doing it guerrilla style now and you're in the mix, but you do want to plan, okay, what happens when this takes off? Right? That should be in your research. That should be in your idea of a show schedule. I think weekly makes sense. If we scale, can I keep up weekly? Me or our team. I think 3 days a week is great. I think daily videos are great. That might be awesome while you're in between jobs, freelancing, whatever your case may be. But how is that going to scale? How are you going to keep that up? All right, I have a video actually I want to show, so I'm going to jump out because we got about 8 minutes and I'll take some questions. I wanted to mention to you that you have access to free software, all right? Anyone here in the room can go to adobe.com. You can create an Adobe account, okay? And with your Adobe account on your mobile device, iOS or Android, there's free software. One particular suite of software is called Adobe Spark. Okay, it has 3 products. It has Adobe Spark Post, which is for social media graphics. A lot of my Instagram is done with Spark Post. There's Spark Page, which is kind of like landing page style stuff with parallax scrolling and long form information. And then there's Spark Video. If you have an Adobe ID and you have a free account, you can access all that stuff and be creating content. Why do I mention those? For 2 reasons. If you're like me and you're creative, it's convenience. I don't need to open up Photoshop to do an Instagram graphic. I can do it on my phone. It looks kind of good and it's good enough. If you're not a creative, it's templatized to make it really simple for you to make your Instagram graphic that you can resize for your Facebook header, that you can resize for Pinterest, because it has dynamic resizing. So if you pick a cool photo and add some really great text, you can size it 15 million different ways and it figures it out for you, right? I wanted to show you specifically video because we're talking how-to video.
Hi, this is Sydney Wood. Let's learn how to make scrambled eggs. You will need eggs, a bowl, spices, a fork, butter, and a pan. Step 1, crack the eggs in the bowl. Step 2, add your spices and whisk the eggs. Step 3, stir the eggs over low heat in a pan. Scrambled eggs are so easy, anyone can do it. Be happy, cook for yourself.
Now, I did that before the session. So my daughter's actually right here. She's been taking the photographs. So there's Sydney, right? Okay. So we did that video on a phone. The video content you see is from Adobe stock, right? So it's our media asset, free royalty stuff, right? So there's royalty-free images, royalty-free videos, right? Royalty-free 3D and templates and all kinds of stuff. Grabbed Sydney just before you folks showed up and said, talk really fast, right? And she recorded the voiceover for each one, right? And she was essentially my actor because she didn't know what we were doing. She's like, why am I talking about eggs, right? But if you tell me, I'm not really a subject matter expert, or I don't really know how to shoot video, or I don't have the studio or nothing. We did that out in the hallway in the corner so we didn't get lots of ambient noise on a phone with stock media assets, right? So everybody in the room is a content creator. And I hope after today's session, all of you can be how-to creators as well. So I'd love to connect with you. Thank you for coming. I know there's another session after this, and they're standing right in the doorway. But I'm AJ Wood. Appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. You're welcome. You're welcome.